Get your spread lines out tonight on a Tuesday, specifically in the association. We're back, Joe, and that means double-digit spreads in multiple spots tonight. That's okay. The NBA actually wants you to watch the games tonight, Joe. 7 o'clock start. 8 o'clock start. 9:30. Anytime you get something started before 10 in the NBA as your third game, that's an absolute win. But let's head up to the Garden and take a look. The Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks tied 2-2 in their series. Pivotal. Game number 5. You take a look at the opening number, -6.5 as a favorite towards the New York Knicks. Where does it sit this morning, Joe? Still 6.5 as a favorite for those New York Knicks. Low total, 213.5. Got to tell you, Joe, feels like the winner of this game probably going to take the series. What's the spread line here for Hawks-Knicks tonight?
And this is the most it's been, Donnie, right? 6.5 is a big number here for a team that, listen, New York back against the wall, down 2-1, finally played with some urgency last game. Will they bring that same intensity here? They've been better at home, and Atlanta doesn't have the same kind of experience that the Knicks do. So looks like they adjusted correctly, but now it is time for Schneider and company here and the Hawks to adjust. This feels like a big number, but the interesting part, Donnie, is I thought I'd wake up and see at least more money one way or the other. This thing has been frozen at 6.5 since it opened. So far, not a whole lot of movement one way or the other, but it would not shock me if more defense and less offense in this game. Maybe the total might be the best way to look at this one.
Joe, the Sixers have been clubbed twice in this short series so far by the Celtics by 30-plus points. The Philadelphia 76ers welcomed Joel Embiid back in a pivotal game number 4 at home, and they got smacked in the head. Now we go back to Boston, where Boston's probably going to close it out. However, Joe, nobody wants to bet the Philadelphia 76ers in this game, only getting about 20% of the ticket count here. This line, though, opened up at 11.5. Still sits at 11.5, and a total also low at 214.5. Sixers don't have a chance tonight, but Joe, what's that spread line for you here?
Listen, Donnie, they're not. If they play the way they did, welcoming Embiid back and forgetting that Maxi's on the court, you're not beating the Celtics with just Joel Embiid. You need everybody involved. The problem is now they got to go back to the Garden here in Boston to be able to do this. I doubt very much they will, Donnie, and I also doubt very much that we're going to get to 214.5 points. I think defense is going to be the story here. I would look to fade maybe some team totals. I don't want to run to the window and lay 11.5. Ask OKC how that worked last night in a closeout spot. But I don't think we're getting a ton of points here tonight either.
Nobody wants to bet the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, Joe. That'd be something for hour number 2. Let's file that one away. Trailblazers, San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are at home tonight looking to do some final damage. Why? They're favored by 12.5 points here and also a total of 215.5. 2 double-digit spreads tonight out of 3 games in the association. Wemby is healthy, back off the concussion, and ready to roll tonight. But the question, Joe, is can they roll by 13-plus points? What's the spread line here?
We saw it open at 11.5, now at 12.5. Wemby is back. And listen, this is what, when the first 2 games were in San Antonio, this is what we were looking at to begin with. But everyone hopped on this Portland trendy dog bandwagon here like they were going to be able to go toe-to-toe. Outside of the game, Wemby almost knocked himself out on the court there and had to leave. Outside of that, this has not been a particularly close series, Donnie, in these games that they have played. So I don't expect it to be close here in this one either. I do think it's 11, 11.5, 12 or more for a reason. Something tells me, yes, San Antonio puts their foot down and gets it done in a big way.
NBA action last night saw 3 games on the docket. The Denver Nuggets and the Timberwolves. You had the Thunder, you had the Suns, you had the Magic, and you had the Pistons here, Joe. So where do we want to start? How about the Denver Nuggets and the T-Wolves? Let's get a little post-game action here before we go to the game itself.
Well, weren't sure what we were going to get from Minnesota, right? And what we got was pretty much a blowout for the first 3 quarters. It seemed better, Donnie, than what it was, because the reality is they took their foot off the gas in the 4th and still won by, 12 or 13 points. But you survived, Denver. Can they do it in Game 6 is the question, Donnie.
Let's hear the post-game press conference. Let's go.
I thought it was a good 3.5 quarters. I thought the end of the 4th was sloppy. But there's a lot of things to look at and say, hey, we improved on this. And I said this in the losses, and I guess it just, when you lose, nobody listens. But there are positives and losses, and you can find things to build on, and we did. And the group, I thought they realized that there were some things that they could build on both ends. And tonight was just a little bit better than it's been. And these series, they're long, man. And Game 6 will be its own story. So we'll look at the things that we didn't do well. And I think there's some things they'll see that some of those kids they played off their bench played well. And so you might see more of them. So we have to prepare for what could happen, and then we got to prepare for what we know we can control.
So what did you see from your group, and what was causing all the problems holding on to the ball?
Just kind of silly, playing in the crowd, not handling the physicality well, just trying to plow through it. Just kind of, that, and just a lot of just silly forced plays by guys trying to make something out of nothing.
Do you think that was there any kind of a lack of urgency on their part? Did you feel
No, I didn't feel a lack of urgency. I mean, we started the game a beat slow, but I didn't think there was a lack of urgency. So.
Minnesota leads the series still 3-2, which means Minnesota's going to have a home game in their own building. If they lose that, they still get a game number 7 in Denver. Joe, I remember you saying yesterday, wait a second, Denver Nuggets are actually plus money to win this series. Better grab that now, because if you woke up this morning and go, let me place a wager on those Nuggets, FanDuel's got them at minus 154 right now, Joe.
Yeah, we said it. Now's the time here.
Yep.
And, listen, it didn't shock me. We had said, Don, it wouldn't shock me if Minnesota punts on this game, because we all know it's going to come back to Game 6 in Minnesota. If they don't win that one, then Denver wins Game 6 and Game 7 at home, and the series is over. So, and Naz Reid, by the way, twisted his ankle. So that could be another starter they might be down there for Game 6. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
It doesn't need any more starters. It's the Phoenix Suns last night. But good teams win, Joe. Great teams cover. The Thunder, 131-122 over the Suns. Told you to take the Suns at double digits. They get the cover. Let's go to the post-game press conference here after the sweep by OKC.
Shay, third straight year, you guys got a sweep in the first round. What kind of sense of satisfaction comes with the sweep?
It is a really good feeling. Just for confidence-wise as a group, it's good to get the playoff run started off that way. It's just important to get out to a good foot. You never know what can happen, and usually the later you go, the better the team, so the series don't get like that. But you want to give yourself as many days that you can rest, and the more you can sweep, the better off, and the more days you have to rest. So it's pretty important.
You can't say anything without, bringing up Shea. He's the MVP of the league, and he's playing the best basketball in the league for the past 2 years. Mixed with, guys that know their role, some seasoned vets that, they're relentless. Like I said, with that chemistry, the communication, it's on 100%. And when the bench comes in, they get better sometimes. It's like reinforcement. It's not subs. They have all the answers to the test. They've been tested together, and they've been together for years. So that's an advantage.
All right, Joe, let's move on to another series last night, which saw the Magic knock off the Pistons in a game that maybe played in 1991, 94-88, Joe. What happened to your Pistons last night?
Terrible, Donnie. They had a 10-point lead at one point in the second quarter, and then they gave that up and never led again for the rest of the way. This team they don't have any scoring. It is beyond me how Jalen Duren has gone to MIA in this spot, the number 2 scorer on a team. And if it ain't Cade Cunningham, apparently it ain't happening on this team. And that's a real problem against a 8 seed here in the East.
Pistons are a 1 seed. Magic are the 8 seed. The Pistons scored 17 points in the third and 19 in the fourth. Ouch. That's terrible, people. I tell you what's not terrible. Hour number 2, it's coming up next. Right back out of here on the early line. Tuesday morning, SportsGrid Network. Donnie right side, Joe Ranieri. Welcome in Kevin Walsh, rising and grinding, having fun. Different participants on Pro Football Today. Now he comes on the early line. It feels good. What a work week we got set up for you, Kev. How we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Is today like a Game of Thrones themed day? I'm not Like, I'll be honest. Game of Thrones had that great run. Everyone was like, I'm done with Game of Thrones after the finale. And then they've made like 4 different versions since that everyone's watched other than me. I thought when people said they were done with Game of Thrones, I thought they meant it. I don't feel like they meant it.
I'm done with Game of Thrones. I never watched Game of Thrones one time. I'll fight against it. Never watched Breaking Bad either. Don't get into it either. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the NBA, and I'm worried about fading teams in the NBA. But by the way, Kevin, I got a question for you. I don't know if many people saw this coming. The Detroit Pistons finally get there as the number 1 overall seed. They look like they stink, Kevin. Give me a little synopsis of the Pistons, and now the Sixer fans themselves go like, man, if we could have just avoided Boston, we would have smoked the Pistons at this point. Is that how bad the Pistons are?
I think for Detroit, you were supposed to have 2 all-star level guys, and you have 1 best conference level guy, best player in the conference level guy in Cade Cunningham, and that is it. Jalen Duren, I don't know what's going on. And you know it's bad when people are like, he's only 22. They're the 1 seed. He could be 12. He averaged 20 and 11 in the regular season. And because a lot of it is dunks, he shot 65% from the floor. We are 4 games into this series. He has yet to record a double-double. He has not scored more than 12 points. He has yet to grab 10 rebounds. He is shooting under 50% from the floor. It is bad right now for Jalen Duren. And I know some of the final scores are, pulled away a little bit more. Games 3 and 4 are 1-possession games in the fourth quarter. And that is with Cade Cunningham feeling like the only Detroit Piston who is showing up for the most part here. Ausar Thompson finished top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year, and he feels like he'll be a part of a recalibration coming for Detroit. You do not win 60 games, be the 1 seed, get eliminated in round 1 without recalibration. You have to look in the mirror unless they can complete a major comeback here.
He looks disinterested too, which it's kind of like he got punched in the mouth and he has no idea how to respond. And it's amazing what Orlando has done to him. What about what we saw from Minnesota last night? Are we thinking they got a shot? They have to win Game 6, or if they don't win that, it's pretty much over.
It's interesting. Minnesota has been really fun to watch in the early portions of this postseason, and they have a core who have routinely made the conference finals. And if not for all the injuries, I think they would have been able to give San Antonio a heck of a series and absolutely be more than capable of making what would be a 3rd straight Western Conference Finals. But heading into yesterday's game, I thought Denver would complete the 3-1 comeback. And the books were, you could tell, prepping for that as well. The Nuggets were only plus 125 to win that series heading into game number 5 with an 11.5-point number. And you look now at the game 6 number, 6.5. That is not small. I mean, I understand it's a road, it's a road favorite. Upsets happen, but it would be a legitimate upset for Minnesota to win that basketball game. And again, game 7, you're talking about another 11.5-point number, if not bigger, depending probably on how game 6 goes. Despite the 3-1 lead Minnesota had, I think it would be still unacceptable for Denver to lose. They lost their starting backcourt, including by far and away their best player, in a series Denver was already favored to win. The Nuggets should win this series.
How about tonight, Kevin? 3 games on the docket. Last night I was upset. Not that I was going to watch the games, but these games were on too late. Tonight, Kevin, we got 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 9:30 tonight. 2 teams in position to close out their series. That's the Boston Celtics, and that is also the San Antonio Spurs. But I want to ask you first about the game at 8 o'clock tonight in the Garden. 2-2 series tied. Atlanta Hawks in town to take on the Knicks. And what I love, too, is the word leaking out. Mike Brown, you blow this series, you're probably out the door already. Knicks, Hawks tonight. What do we got?
Yeah, I can tell you, Mike Brown certainly believes that is true with the way he is coaching. I still really can't believe how he approached the end of game number 4. Look, I think, admittedly, when you have a bet on a certain prop, you have a more watchful eye. And I thought Mikal Bridges could bounce back a little bit in game 4. Now, if you would have said, hey, Bridges shot 75% from the field, I'm like, perfect. We certainly made some money here. Instead, he played 19 minutes because Mike Brown, coaching for his career, up 20, instead of getting Mikal Bridges in a rhythm, made him ride the bench. Mike Brown, coaching for his career, watched Jalen Brunson keel over with 4 minutes left, up 20, come out of a timeout and say, yeah, Brunson, get back out there. We got to close the deal. So, no, that's not what's supposed to be happening here. But that's where we are at with Mike Brown. It makes the Knicks feel a little unsettling. The one thing that I'm very interested in, and I know there are some very, what I find to be enjoyable debates about Brunson's usage right now for New York, but he has a points prop at 26.5. Jalen Brunson points props in the postseason are usually much higher. While he has not had that type of series, it's not for the lack of trying. 22 attempts, 26 attempts, 23 attempts. Jalen Brunson back home snuck over this number in the first 2 games of this series. Might feel simple, but the Brunson props, Joe and Donnie, really, really sticking out to me.
76ers Celtics early game, 11.5 point spread. San Antonio late, 12.5. Does anybody extend? Well, we'll find out tonight. Kevin, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you once again tomorrow on a Wednesday. We'll be right back. Simple question here, Joe. Who's your dog of the day in the NBA? 3 games tonight, which means there will be 3 underdogs. Is it the Philadelphia 76ers? Is it the Atlanta Hawks? Is it the Portland Trailblazers? Pretty even out there. And again, looks like nobody's wanting to give my Philadelphia 76ers a chance here. Hint, hint, Joe. How about that?
Not a bad look, Donnie. I want to say Portland will leave it all out on the court here tonight, but I don't trust them to do so. But I'm hoping this gets to 7 with the Knicks and Atlanta, because I'll be all over Atlanta at that point. But right now it's 6.5, and it has not moved. It feels like, this is going to be a fight, a game of adjustments, and like Kevin just told us, not a whole lot of trust in Mike Brown's adjustments here. So Quinn Snyder and maybe Atlanta has enough left in the tank, maybe to pull out the outright upset.
7, 8, and 9:30 tonight, triple header in the association. Now to Tuesday, it's time to get down with some best bets here. Here's bye. I'm headed over to Boston. It's going to be a tea party tonight. Boston might win and close out my Philadelphia 76ers, but the Sixers will be able to pick a fight tonight. This line opened up at 11.5. In the morning, it still sits at 11.5, despite only 20% of the ticket count total coming in on the Philadelphia 76ers. So, Joe, tonight's game, I might have to turn it off in the first quarter, second quarter, because the Sixers might not be competitive, but and that final score, they'll be within double digits here. Joel Embiid, Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey, DJ Edgecomb. If you're going to let me down one last time, just make sure you do it with losing under double digits as the final score. Sixers for me, Joe, plus 11.5. Why? Nobody wants to bet the Sixers. It's exactly why I'm betting the Sixers tonight, Joe.
Well, listen, it worked last night with Phoenix. Backdoor was wide open. Phoenix ran right through it. Could very well happen again here tonight with the Sixers, but I wouldn't expect any sort of crazy upset happening there.
Maxey, wake up tonight. Shoot your shot, kid. And the way we go into PME coming up next, radio on the early line. It's fun. That's why we do it. We'll be right back. It's that time again on a Tuesday. Prediction Markets Edge right here on the early line. It's Donnie Wrights at its show. We're near the next half hour. A different way to invest your funds here with the goal, Joe. In a stock market-like approach to make more money. That's all we ask.
It's all we ask, Donnie. We got a lot of opportunities here. Certainly now that the round one in the playoffs, both the NHL and NBA, we got some close ones, and we've got some teams that might have to come back from big deficits. That means great opportunities in the prediction markets.
Extending the series, can they do that? And by the way, we talked about extending a series there with the Denver Nuggets. Looks like they're going to do that as the favorites now. But, though, 3 games in the association tonight, Joe. Madison Square Garden takes center stage. Let's go there. It's the Hawks and the Knicks. This series is tied 2-2. This is a huge game, number 5. Winner takes this. Just needs one more win out of game 6 and 7 to clinch this series. If we take a look at Kalshi on the prediction markets, just to win the game, Joe, New York is the favorite, trading at 68% right now, and the contract is actually at 70 cents for them to win outright, meaning a $100 investment pays back $143 if you believe the Knicks will win this game outright. A 32-cent ticket here on Atlanta, a $100 investment pays back $313. Hawks, Knicks in the Garden tonight, Joe, 8 p.m.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Donnie, I think the best way to look at this game is to look at who this has been a terrible matchup for. And it's been a terrible matchup for Jalen Johnson because C.J. McCollum is pretty much taken over the offensive reins here in this series so far. He's the guy that's done the damage here. Jalen Johnson, I don't know. I mean, he's looking, I saw, 27.5 points and assists. And he has been MIA, Donnie, mostly because the Knicks have done a great job with Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns of making it very difficult for him to get anywhere even remotely close to getting those easy buckets. So I don't know. If it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to keep fading Jalen Johnson here, points and assists here moving forward.
How about another Jalen Brunson in this game? If you feel he can get 25-plus points right now in the Kalshi marketplace, that $100 investment would pay back, Joe, $162. 76ers and the Celtics tonight. Can they, talking about the Sixers, extend the series? Most people thought coming into it, they'd be lucky to get one game. They did get one game, and they were tied 1-1 heading back to Philadelphia. Boston won game number 3, trounced the Sixers at game number 4, even though Joel Embiid did come back. And tonight, monster favorites up there in the TD Garden. Boston on the Kalshi Marketplace trading, Joe, at 82% as the favorite here, which means an 83-cent contract on the yes that the Celtics win this game. $100 investment only pays back $121. Shows you the type of game we might be expecting in Boston tonight.
Well, Boston notoriously, Donnie, takes their foot off the gas a lot, especially after blowout wins. And we have seen this now since 2020. I think in Boston winning by more than double digits, they're 11-24-1 against the number the next game. So basically, Donnie, they celebrate. They're like, we're good to go. We're just going to destroy them. And then they take their foot off the gas the next game. And guess what? It's a lot closer than anybody thought it was going to be. So I'm with you. You mentioned it earlier. I'm backing you up here. I think Philly absolutely stays within this number. I don't think they win, but I think you should grab the point sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't know if Joel Embiid is the focal point in this game. Makes a whole lot of sense because he did get a lot of minutes and was, had a good game statistic-wise, but the Sixers got blown out. It's one of those things you look at and say, yeah, Max has to step up. We get that, but you're not getting any price reductions on 25 or 30 points. You got to tell me right now, the Sixers being competitive and possibly winning this game, you got to go down a couple pegs here. It's VJ Edgecomb. Can he get 15 points in this game? If he does, Joe, a $100 investment pays back $278. You know Embiid's going to get his shots. You know Maxey is, but those extra guys out there, I should say the ancillary guys, they need to show up, and it's VJ Edgecomb for me. Can he get to 15-plus points? That could be a key trigger here. Trailblazers and the Spurs tonight. Another series that we just talked about, Boston and Philadelphia. The winner and the favorite can end the series. Same thing with the Trailblazers on the road to take on the San Antonio Spurs. Monster favorites on the Kalshi Marketplace, Joe. San Antonio currently trading at 84 cents to the contract. If they win this game, would pay back $120. Amazing. Favorites for Spurs, probably close out the Trailblazers, but you can also take it on the spread line as well. 12.5 points as the favorite, currently trading, Joe, at an even 50 cents.
Yeah, and it feels, Donnie, that even though the final scores have not been great, it feels like, if you just looked at the scores, they've been blowouts. I don't know. They've been a lot more competitive and closer, I think, than people realize here with the Portland Trailblazers. Could the Spurs run away again with this? Absolutely. But again, your back is up against the wall. You're down 3-1. Nobody thought you'd even be in this spot to begin with. Would not shock me if Portland smacks them first in this game. Maybe look for Portland early because I think, Donnie, if they're not anywhere in this game early, they're likely rolling over and not going to be in it late.
Let's go. Prediction Markets Edge on the early line, closing it down in style by asking some questions on who's going to extend, Joe, some of their series, and more importantly, who's going to win some of these series. We just talked to Joe Cervenka and left off with who is going to win tonight between the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. Why? Because that's going to go a long way to determine who wins this series, Joe. And currently, the favorite tonight is the New York Knicks to win game number 5. Therefore, they have the edge. So in the Kalshi marketplace, a 70% chance that the New York Knicks win this series where it's currently sitting at, which means if you invest $100 on the Knicks to advance past round number 1, that pays back $143. But, Joe, if you come in on those underdog Atlanta Hawks, a $100 investment pays back $313 if they take the series.
Yeah, so you got to... Game 5 is huge, right?
Yeah.
We know this here. It looks like the Knicks have figured some things out, but I think the thing they figured out is they played with a sense of urgency, Donnie, that we had not seen prior, and I think that's where the experience comes in here. I think they're the rightful favorite here. They should be. They're the rightful series favorite, but I don't know that I would back Atlanta here because I do think the Knicks win the series. I don't think it necessarily goes to 7 games. So if I was going to do anything, instead of betting Atlanta in the series, I would bet Knicks in the series, but I would bet Atlanta and take the points tonight because there's better value in Atlanta, covering and staying within this number. But if they lose anyway, Donnie, I'm not getting any value by backing Atlanta in this series and thinking, the price I'm going to buy now is going to be much worse if they lose this game tonight at the Garden, which they likely will. But, losing the game and staying within 6.5, 7, 2 different markets. So Atlanta in the game with the points, but the series market, I don't see any reason to fade the Knicks here.
Going on a 3-game win streak. You know who's going to have to do that? That's the Detroit Pistons here. They're the number 1 seed going up against the 8th seed. And how about this? Orlando currently trading at 69% to win the series over the Detroit Pistons. Do you think the Pistons can come back as a 1 seed? They got all their metal. They're ready to go now, Joe. Well, a $100 investment pays back $323. But anything you saw from the series so far doesn't show us that Detroit's going to win 3 games in a row, let alone the next game on the docket. But, Joe, that's why we have it here. Is there any chance that Detroit can come back, and is it worth a $100 investment on them to do so?
No, it's not. First of all, Game 5, the line is already inflated. We've seen that, right? And I don't see that. And that tells me, Donnie, that the market is not necessarily... It's not a big enough, move here for me to think that Detroit coming back is, A, in the cards to win 3 straight games in a series where I've already watched them they didn't even make 90 points, Don. It's very hard to win games in a postseason if you can't score here. So I don't see any value. They're so overinflated right now, even with the Game 5 number on the board. They can't stop turning the ball over. Yeah, Orlando, I hate to say it, is an 8 seed. There's better places to go here. I would save the money than thinking maybe now's the time to get in on Detroit. I don't see that happening. I think it likely ends in 5.
From a dog to a favorite here, Joe, we talked about that series between Minnesota and Denver. It's like, ooh, everybody's injured now. Can they come back from the series? They're still plus money. Well, after last night, they're no longer plus money. Take a look at the Kalshi marketplace right now. Denver is the favorite to win the series now over the Minnesota Timberwolves, currently trading at 58 cents on that yes contract. A $100 investment pays back $173. If you think Minnesota can win, they had one chance last night, weren't able to get it done. They'll get their best chance at home, but still with a lot of banged up players. If you feel Minnesota can win 1 out of the final 2 games, Joe, a $100 investment on the Minnesota side does pay back plus money at $228.
We told you yesterday it was all going to come down to Game 6 in Minnesota, and the injuries continue to pile up. Naz Reid with an ankle injury is another issue now for Minnesota. We told you grab the plus money with Denver to win the series, because if they won last night and they won by more than double digits, which they did, yeah, we're in the minus 150s, 160s here, and it's not good here. I don't believe Minnesota's got, as currently constructed and healthy, they don't have enough to be able to even go home and win a game 6. So last chance to get a reasonable price on Denver, because if it goes to a game 7, Donnie, they're going to be a $250, they're going to be $250, $3 favorite one way or the other. And in this market, that means you'd have to pay 80 cents for a game 7.